Back to Politics Tonight, everyone. Thank you very much for staying with us on the program. President Bola Tinubu has mandated the National Orientation Agency to initiate a nationwide sensitization to educate Nigerians on the health risk and environmental danger of scooping fuel from falling petrol tanker. The president strongly advises all citizens to exercise caution and avoid approaching accident sites, especially those involving fuel-laden vehicles due to their highly explosive nature. For more on this and other matters, I'm now being joined by the Director General, National Orientation Agency, Lanre Issa-Onilu. He joins me virtually. Good evening to you, Mr. Onilu. Thank you so much for joining us on Politics Tonight.
Yeah, good evening. Right. My pleasure being here.
Right. So we'll get to the president's mandate in a bit, but let's start tonight's conversation with proper insight into the activities of the NOA since you became the DG. What has been the achievement of the agency since you were appointed?
Thank you very much. As we all know, that the agency had become somewhat redundant due to years of neglect by successive government. But since this government came into power, and since I was appointed, we've galvanized the personnel of the agency, and we've done a lot of restructuring and put enough as whatever we have in terms of resources in place, and the personnel are geared and ready, and they've been doing a lot. In the last 1 year, we've done a lot in terms of putting platforms in place to be able to engage with Nigerians. We've reactivated all our 774 local governments, that is in all the local governments across the country. All our personnel are up and doing as we speak. We've carried out several campaigns, series of campaigns all year round. And this year alone, we have done a lot of campaigns. And we've put platform in place, as I said, including publications. We are very visible. We are on television. We are on radio. We engage with over 300 radio stations that we work with on daily basis to disseminate government information, to talk to Nigerians about the activities of this government, to explain policies, to get buy-in, and to mobilize Nigerians, towards loving their country and towards patriotism. So we've been able to put the agency back on the track, and this year we hope to even up our game, better than we have done in the last 1 year. Right. So and the media is fully involved in all the activities we are doing.
It's interesting to hear you talk about neglect, and I wanted us to start that way because many Nigerians say the agency is supposed to be more visible, speak to Nigerians more, educate Nigerians more. Nigerians should not be doing the job of the NOA, especially with the prevalence of fake news and how many Nigerians absorb anything and how some Nigerians like to, propagate anything negative about the nation. With the past administrations, Nigerians thought the NOA had been scrapped and Nigerians were saddled with the responsibility of educating themselves. I want to know how committed you are to mobilizing citizens in the efforts to rebuild Nigeria.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of Nigerians will bear witness that in the last 1 year, there has been a massive difference, from what NOA had always been. And this thing is a gradual thing. And I can tell you that having all the structure in place, in the next few weeks, months, and this year, Nigerians will even see more in terms of how we engage. I can tell you that all segments of the audience of this country, we have them covered as we speak. If you go to any local government today, they feel us. We engage with the various stakeholders. We engage with the traditional rulers, with the market leaders, with motor park leaders, with artisanal associations. We engage with all segments of the society. We are fully, committed to what we are doing. We are on social media, and we are engaging fully the youth on the social media in the country that is very youthful as we have in this country, with the youth population constituting almost 80%. So we are engaging, on using the different platforms to reach out to the youth and to ensure that we deliver government information, not just delivering government information, but to ensure we get the buy-in, get the understanding of the citizens for them to be able to play their role in what the government is doing. We are in a season of reform. And when reform is ongoing, then the communication must be top-notch. And that's what we have been doing. We are not just communicating, we're also generating feedback for government all across the country on every fortnightly basis. We send feedback to government as input into policy adjustment, policy making, and decision making. So we have the ground covered, and we can only do better.
I mean, perhaps you need to expatiate on the kinds of reform the agency is undergoing, but also do Nigerians trust that indeed it's a new era of rebirth, focus, and impact?
So I didn't get that.
You may need to expatiate on the kinds of reforms the agency is currently undergoing. And I also asked if at this point, it's okay for Nigerians to trust that indeed it's a new era of rebirth, focus, and impact.
If I got that answer correctly, you're talking of whether Nigerians feel the impact of what we are doing.
I wanted to know that you talked about reforms, so I wanted to know the kinds of reforms the agency is currently undergoing, and if indeed Nigerians should trust that it's a new era of rebirth, focus, and impact.
Yes, I mentioned platforms that we have created. As of today, Nigeria has what we call a chat platform, where any citizen anywhere in the world who wants to know about what government is doing on your phone device, you can chat with what we call Clean, that can give you just any information, including the media houses. They can get information about any government policy and get the details. You can chat, you can have discussion, and you will get all the facts on your palm. And we have what we call the explainer. The explainer comes out every Friday of every week, where major government policies are dissected and presented in a very simple and easily digestible way. So the explainer is running. We are present on the television. Like I said, we work with about 300 radio stations nationwide on daily basis. We send our materials and they deliver. So we have a lot of platforms that we have activated.
You work with over 300 radio stations. What about television stations?
NOA what?
You said you currently work with over 300 radio stations. So I'm saying, what about television stations?
Yeah, TVC would also bear witness that we partner. We have a lot of things that you do for us on daily basis, on partnership basis. We do that with all the major television stations. We do that with all the state TV stations. So we have formed partnership with the media all across platforms, on the social media, or the electronic media, the print media. We've formed that platform. But do not forget that majority of Nigerians are there in the local government, at the grassroots. So that's why we mobilize our personnel at the local government, that they go around, not just waiting for people to hear it on radio or watch it on TV or see it on social media. We visit, we do a lot of advocacy visits, we do town hall meetings, we do street rallies, we move around, we go to stakeholders, we call them together, we engage with them, and we have facility for them to also send feedback, as I said earlier. So the structure is fundamental, and that we have successfully put in place. In the last 1 year, we now have our own functional TV production studio in NOA. We also have radio production studio in our NOA. This were not in place before. And so we produce our own materials, and we are able to disseminate, to the various segments of the audience.
All right, we'll come back to talk about nation building, but let's focus on this assignment the president has given to your agency. You have the mandate to enlighten, sensitize Nigerians about the risk of killing themselves or getting themselves burned when they scoop fuel. Does the NOA have such capacity?
We do have the capacity to do that, and that's why Mr. President, directed us to do that. And I can assure you that in the last 1 week, we have done quite a lot. All our local government offices are today, because there are certain spots in this country where this often happens. You see spots where trucks are usually parked by the side of the road. We have all of them mapped out, and we are engaging with them. We are engaging with the various stakeholders because it's not just about awareness. There's also the enforcement part of it. If somebody's product spill on the road, including fuel, people who go to scoop it, you can also say that they are stealing somebody's, property. And so the enforcement aspect of it is there. The safety aspect of it is there. The road safety, for instance, the civil defense, agency, all of these people, we are engaging with them so that we can have a holistic approach, to ensuring that we solve this issue once and for all. But we do not want to paper over it. Papering over it means just making all the noise in the media. We know that people scooping fuel is a symptom of a more fundamental issue, which is the issue of value system. So we are working on the issue of value orientation first and foremost to ensure that Nigerians have that kind of esteem, high esteem, that they do not see themselves going for, cheap, risky and very dangerous endeavor as scooping fuel, that can easily end their lives. So we are concentrating also on the issue of value orientation, and you would have heard that the president has committed himself to unveiling the National Values Charter this year that will drive this process of creating that identity of the citizens of this country who are, very confident of themselves, who have excellent, approach to life, whose lifestyle is that one that we all can be proud of, who are not going to subject themselves to issue of, a kind of something that demonstrates
Gigi, I like that you've gone there. You've talked about value system because, realistically, you're dealing with Nigerians that, we're very peculiar as a people. But what kind of empowerment does your agency require or need to be able to carry out this assignment effectively, which is ensuring that people understand that scooping fuel equates to suicide mission?
Yeah, people do understand that it is suicide mission. See, the people who have died in the process, if you had the opportunity of interviewing them just minutes before they died, they would have told you they knew it was dangerous. So it was an attitudinal issue, and it is still an attitudinal issue. And that's why value orientation becomes fundamental. And that's why the essence of the president's commitment to unveiling the charter, so that we can create a national identity for Nigerians to be proud of who they are. For Nigerians to, the Nigerians of old, you will not see this kind of attitude. Nigerians of old are people who would see somebody's product spill on the road and they show empathy rather than taking advantage of somebody's misfortune. So, but we have come to this level. All we can do is to take ourselves back to that level that we were before, where we were people who had pride, people who have high esteem, unlike what we have now. So we are hoping that by the time we roll out the issue of the value orientation, and Nigerians will see a lot of difference, and they will be able to live up to the kind of personality that we all are supposed to have.
But have you thought about the likely challenges the NOA is likely to face or need to surmount? Because for people who scoop fuel, it's more than poverty, because some don't, even get up to 2 liters of fuel before this fire happens. So it's more than seeing cheap fuel wasting away. There is something fundamentally wrong, just as you said, for you to see that this situation could take your life, but you go ahead to face it. Basically saying it takes a whole lot to reorientate Nigerians. So what are the likely challenges?
Yeah, well, the challenges we are going to face, like anything you are trying to effect a change, there will be resistance. But the important thing is we have something that will work. We have something that has been tested. It is not only in this country that this is going to happen. In America, you have the American dream, where the issue of value system is ensconced in it. You have the Red Book of China, where they define their value system, and they put structures in place to implement it. Given the support that we are receiving from the president and from the government, this administration, and the fact that Nigerians are all on the same page on the need for us to do better. We believe there won't be much, issue on the way. We are going to be successful in ensuring that we recover the kind of, personality, like I said, that we need to exhibit as Nigerians. Yeah, it takes a lot of resources to be able to achieve that. And we have been getting support from the president, and we know we will continue to get support in a way that we will be able to deliver on this mandate.
I mean, quickly before we go on break, when do you start mobilization of your personnel? Because, I mean, value orientation is no child's play. In terms of skill set, does the agency have enough enough personnel to effectively carry out this assignment and get the desired result? How many offices do you have across the country? What approach would you be using in changing this narrative?
Okay, we are well structured. We have enormous infrastructure across the country. We are present in all the 774 local governments. We have offices in all the 36 states and FCT, and we have the headquarters. So we have a total of 812 office locations. Yeah, we have issues with personnel in terms of number. We do not have adequate number because in the last 3 years, there have been mass exodus from NOA because NOA clocked 35 years just about 3 years ago. So all the pioneer staff were due for retirement. So we had shortage of personnel, but we are working, with the relevant authorities to ensure that we're able to bridge that, and ensure we have enough people. During MAMSA, for instance, don't forget that NOA is an offshoot of MAMSA. During MAMSA, some local government had as much as 11 staff with vehicles to do their work and other equipment. As of today, most of our local government, we have only one staff. So it is difficult for one staff in a local government to adequately, deliver on all these our activities. So, but we are working with the relevant authorities to ensure that we're able to improve on our situation in terms of workforce, and we will get there soon.
Let's go on a break, and when we return, we'll talk about resources and how much has been budgeted for this assignment. Please stay with us, everyone. Mr. DG, thank you very much for staying with us on the program.
My pleasure.
Right. Let's talk about resources. How much has been budgeted for this assignment? Or rather, is there enough resources? Because, I mean, what we hear is that the NOA is underfunded. And I do not know to what extent we intend to reorientate peculiar individuals like Nigeria if we do not have adequate resources to cater to that need.
Yeah, well, the 2025 budget is still in the works. The National Assembly is still working on that. And we have made our representations to ensure that there's competition for resources, but the issue of value system in this country, everybody knows, is very important. No matter what we achieve, if the Nigerians are not mobilized and they are not united and they are not patriotic, we cannot get anywhere. So everybody understands this. So the National Assembly is still working on this matter, and we are very hopeful that we'll have our situations will be better this year. And we have the support of Mr. President, and that's what matters, because he understands the need for Nigerians to get together, for us to, our shared value, our shared identity needs to be promoted, and it's giving us the backing. And that is what we rely on, that 2025, we are going to be able to have some kind of resources that would at least allow us to do a lot more, better than we have ever done before. So we count on all the support, that we are hoping on.
Well, how much has been allocated to the NOA in the 2025 budget? And I'm asking because, I mean, to put this into proper perspective, the budget for the NOA in 2023 was 193 million naira. 2024 was 220 million naira. How much has been budgeted, or rather allocated, to the NOA in the 2025 budget?
Yeah, well, you would not be able to say that until the budget is passed and signed and assented to by the president. So as we have, there is no budget for 2025 yet. Okay. So until the president has assented, that's where we can now talk to a specific figure. So that's why I said the budget is still in the works. The National Assembly is still working on it. The Committee on Information and National Orientation, both the Senate and House of Representatives, met with us. They felt what was allocated was not adequate. They rejected the budget, but everybody's working together to ensure that the situation improves. And so until the president has assented to the budget, we cannot call or name a figure for this year. So as we have now, there is no 2025 budget as yet.
What I'm asking is, do you have enough resources to make you adequately, effectively do this particular assignment, carry out this particular assignment? That's the question.
That's what? Whether we have it?
Yes.
Yeah, we wouldn't. As we speak, we do not have. But we are not complaining. We are doing the best with what we have. But we are very hopeful that when the budget is passed, we are going to be a lot better, and in a better position to be able to deliver on this mandate, and there will be we will be better resourced to be able to work and deliver on this mandate.
Mr. DG, when you say you're not complaining, I mean, what it means to me is that, well, we don't have what it takes to do the job, but whatever we can do, we'll do, even if the goal is not achieved. And this also means that if there is no adequate resources to carry out this assignment, then it means we're all deceiving ourselves, isn't it?
No, if you look at what we achieved in 2024, you will know that even with what we had, we were able to optimize it. And we're able to, a lot of Nigerians are talking about it. We've gotten a lot of commendation from very important quarters. We were listed as one of the 5 most improved agencies in 2024 by the This Day editors. The award will be done on Monday. So we've been able to manage what we have, and whatever we have in 2025, I can assure you, we will still be able to deliver in a way that people would think that it is more than what we have. But we are also hopeful because the government understands, the president is giving us support. So that's what matters.
Right. Because while you're saying you do not have adequate resources, the Ministry of Power is proposing a budget of 8 billion naira for 2025 to educate Nigerians on the importance of timely payment of electricity bills. I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, how unnecessary this is, and how can this spending plan be justified? Do you agree that there is a misalignment here?
Yeah, well, there's misallocation, there's misalignment, and but that's why I said the budget is still in the works. All of this have been addressed. The National Assembly has a job to do, and they are up to it. Everybody is working, collectively to ensure that all these are, corrected in a way that allocations are made appropriately and monies are channeled towards, specific, activities and projects and policies and under the agencies that are supposed to carry out those mandates. So we should allow the National Assembly to work this out, and we have complete trust, in National Assembly, and the executive arm is also working with them collectively to ensure that the budget reflects, the best for this country and is able to achieve the objective of Mr. President for 2025.
Does your agency have with other MDAs? Expectedly, if the Ministry of Power is saying, we want to enlighten Nigerians on the need to pay their electricity bills. We want to enlighten Nigerians on why it's wrong to steal power cables. If the Ministry of Work is saying, we want to sensitize Nigerians on how you're backtracking developments when you steal manholes, I believe that should be your responsibility. And all these resources channeled to your agency, does it speak to the lack of synergy and collaboration, and that we're not yet serious about cutting the cost of governance?
Yeah, well, it is the mandate of NOA to sensitize Nigerians on all of these issues. And like I said, I don't want us to overflog this issue. All the people that are involved understand this, and the right thing will be done.
Sadiji, I mean, we're not overflogging these issues. These are serious issues, and Nigerians are very concerned about them. Lastly, before we move on to other matters, have you tendered all these challenges to Mr. President? Does he know about these challenges that may hamper the effective delivery of this mandate?
Yeah, Mr. President is aware, and and the people who are also in charge are aware, and that's why they said there's an ongoing process, to address this. It's not just Minister of Power. Last year, a huge chunk of the budget went into sensitization, but misallocated to several MDAs who do not have such responsibility. This year, something like that has happened, but corrections have been made. That is what is important. It's a learning process, and I can assure you things will continue to improve, even in the budgeting. The National Assembly also understands it very well, and they are working on all of this.
So let me ask you this, because there have been mixed reactions about 50% tariff hike for telecom services. Nigerians are angry and saying at this point when we're complaining about increased fuel prices, increase in food prices, increase in transportation fare, increase in electricity tariffs, Minister Bosu is saying the tariff hike was driven by broader economic pressures, including rising inflation and the cost of imported goods. You defend government policies, Mr. Issa-Onilu. So how do you defend this? Is this needed? Must it happen now when poor Nigerians are already stretched financially?
Yeah, you see, the reality of the economic reality also is very important for us when we are considering this matter. There are businesses that are involved, private business people who have invested into the telecom sector, who at the end of the year expect to make at least some marginal profit. And the cost of production and all the factors that they needed to consider to be able to fix their rates are fully considered. So, yes, this would further, affect the people. But there are other interventions that this government is doing. Just recently, about 70 million Nigerians are in the process of receiving 75,000 naira support system. So as we look at all these issues, we should also look at the support system that the government is putting in place to reduce the burden and to ensure that by the time the reforms are bearing fruit, Nigerians do not suffer too much. So, but this is a necessary, process that we must go through. So people who have invested in the telecom sector, the flip side to that policy will be for them to continue with the way they are, and then they have to retrench their staff because they won't be able to pay salary. Some of them will have to shut down eventually if they continue to incur losses. So it's not just it's not a single line issue that we look from just a linear point of view. We have to look at it holistically. But the important thing is that the government is aware of all of this, and the policies, you see, you cannot stiffen businesses. You cannot put orders on their way, and you expect the economy to grow. But in the process, the government understands the need to support Nigerians. And there are a lot of, ways Nigerians have been supported. And there will be a lot more this year. If you listen to the president's New Year speech, he said this much. And he also itemized 10 issues that are his priorities this year. And you will see that the welfare of Nigerians, is paramount. It's very key to these priorities. And I am sure you talk of the CNG is part of the support system. The student loan system is part of the support system. The consumer credit scheme is part of the support system. The humanitarian ministry, the school feeding that is soon to be unveiled, conditional cash transfer. All of these are coming, to offer that succor to support Nigerians so that we can all, waddle through this process of reform so that at the end of the day, we will all be better off for it. So the government is doing what
Mr. Adiji, what I get from your submission is you prioritizing private investors making profit over how poor Nigerians feel about this. Is the Nigerian Communications Commission and the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission really serving the interest of Nigerians? Before now, Nigerians are not even getting efficient service delivery. And now the NCC and even the FCCPC, a commission which should represent the interest of the consumer for measurable improvements in the quality of service before any tariff increases are implemented, is given a nod to this. NLC has called this a clear assault on the welfare of Nigerians and abandonment of the people to corporate cuts. Please respond to that.
No. The people were never abandoned to hawks or sharks, business sharks. No, never. The NCC.
But that's what you that's what you just insinuated. You said private investors, people who have invested, must make profits.
Yeah, I said no matter what, even if it is marginal, you cannot say they should incur losses. So it is the responsibility of NCC, which they did very well, to regulate the process, to ensure that whatever they are going to do is not overboard, is within what is reasonable, to the extent that the businesses will survive, and to ensure that they also mitigate whatever impact it will have on the people. So the balancing act has been done, and the Consumer Protection Council has also played its role to ensure that they keep all these things within limit, to ensure that the businesses continue to run, to ensure that they are able to pay salaries of their workers, to ensure that they have some marginal returns at the end of the year, and to ensure that they mitigate whatever burden this will bring on the people. So this is the way it works anywhere in the world. So government, not this administration, it will never abandon the people and subject them, to the whims and caprices of business people.
All right, we'll see how this plays out. Let's talk about national identity projects. I mean, what we know for now is that this is a project planned to bring the nation together, irrespective of tribe, religion, or ethnicity. What is this about?
Yeah, the National Identity Project is to redefine who a Nigerian is, for all of us to understand what attributes we must possess, so that we can be that kind of citizens that we ought to be. See, as of today, if you tell me I'm not a good Nigerian and I ask you why, you cannot really define who a Nigerian is, because we don't have any official, definition for who we are. So the National Identity Project is to create a situation where we can all hold ourselves accountable using the basic instrument that we have put in place to assess how we are faring, how we are living up to the values that we have all agreed to. So the National Identity Project also has a very fundamental, principle where the leaders, unlike before, the leaders are brought to the table and the citizens are brought to the table. So it takes the two sides to be committed to ensuring that we all live to this value system. So you have what we call the National Value Charter, that is the expression of this National Identity Project. The National Values Charter, is a charter, which means it's an agreement between the country and the citizens, where the country clearly spells out its commitment to the citizens. And there are 7 pillars to those commitments. And in exchange for that, the citizens are also pledging their own commitment, also 7 pillars. So we call it 7 for 7. The country is giving 7, the citizens are returning 7. So these are parameters to hold ourselves responsible as leaders and as citizens of this country. So, and if we are able to manage this and we get through with it, then that ideal Nigerian will emerge. And we have other institutions of nurturing that comes with the National Identity Project that we have identified. We have proposed to the Federal Executive Council. They have been approved. These 7 institutions of nurturing will ensure that every Nigerian has the opportunity to be nurtured on those values, so that we all have common characteristics and shared identity and shared attributes. And all of us are a unique group with group identity as Nigerians, different from any other national. And anywhere in the world, when somebody steps out of that fold, then we can say this is not a good Nigerian. Right. And we'll have our reason for saying so.
Nigerians are asking if the National Values Charter is more than a document, because this is not the first time we're hearing about that. We heard about it in 2020. Let's talk about this and this project called Nigerian, how we must ensure that we sustain this togetherness, harmony, and unity. When leaders talk about achieving national integration, how we must celebrate our diversity, our unviable values, it's mostly about how citizens, the followers, must contribute their quota to promoting national harmony. and not really about how the leaders, the political class, must do all they can to stop using our diversity to further divide us. When do we begin to have this conversation?
Yeah, it takes time for this kind of thing to get to this stage. We had to bring people from all sectors, the youth, the civil society, the media, the academics, all sorts of people were in the kitchen to ensure that this become, a good meal for all of us. And this was presented to the Honorable Minister of Information and National Education last year. And we have taken it to Federal Executive Council for approval. We've gotten approval. And the president stated clearly in his New Year address that it would be one of his priorities this year. And is going to unveil the National Identity Charter, National Values Charter, this first quarter of the year. And a lot of activities are already, on the way, to ensure that this happens. And by the time it is unveiled, mind you, I said there are 7 institutions of nurturing that government would also unveil, that every Nigerian, you will come across the process of being nurtured on these values as school children, as youth corps, as artisan, as market women, as motor drivers, or
but what about
Mr.
DG, what about the political class, the elite? When do they begin to understand that they have more work to do when it comes to national integration?
That's why it is a charter. Okay. That's why it takes 2 sides. We said there's the Nigerian promise, and that's what we call the citizen code. So the Nigerian promise is what this country has promised the citizens, which the political class has the responsibility to ensure that they deliver on that. And the parameters are there to hold everyone responsible on the part of the political class. So now the citizens also have their own. And that's why we say it's 7 for 7. So the country, the political class have 7 parameters for the citizens to hold them accountable. And the citizens also have 7 parameters to hold themselves accountable. So this is the commitment that both sides have, and that is why it is a charter. And that's what would define our identity. The level to which we are able to implement this and exhibit this in our daily lifestyle would also determine the kind of lifestyle that we have in this country.
All right, let's wrap up this way, Mr. DG, and I'd like you to react to this. There's been this continuous argument about what exactly contributes to nation building. Some of the view that the solution to the intractable problems lies in nation building, suggesting the enthronement of a sense of common nationality. On the other hand, others say the lack of national consciousness for a nation may not be the main problem, but the lack of viable institutions that can promote deep inter-ethnic relations. What do you think?
Yeah, that is very correct. But it still boils down to the fact that there are human beings that man those institutions. If those human beings live up to the values of the country, then the institutions will be strong enough to sustain the cohesiveness and the unity and the progress that we all yearn for. So it gets